Welcome to This Explainer. Imagine, just for a second, a universe where your very identity is audited, weighed, and ultimately dismantled. Today, we're diving deep into a grim, dark Gothic fable of cosmic accounting. We'll be exploring a philosophical deep dive into how a mere weeping consciousness actually evolves into an unblinking cosmic judge. So, what exactly is the true cost of existence when your identity is boiled all the way down to absolute zero? I want you to imagine plunging straight into the bleak, desolate horizon of the glass library. This is a space where the loud, messy performance of human existence is just burned away. It becomes nothing more than thermodynamic noise on a cosmic ledger. To figure out how we reach that chilling observational ground zero, we need to look at the entities battling over this final accounting. Let's meet our first entity, the crow. Picture this cynical observer perched high up on jagged spires, its oily feathers shifting in the dark. The crow looks down at our other main figure, the jester, and totally mocks his so-called sapphire awakening. To the crow, the jester claiming he holds the lightning in the madness of the Overman, it's a complete joke. It's basically just a decorated tomb for a consciousness that absolutely refuses to die. Because as the crow croaks, true power actually lies in the black harvest of failures left behind by humanity. But the jester, he doesn't just take that. He strikes right back, his voice grinding with this dry, heavy resonance, kind of like shifting tectonic plates. He completely dismisses the crow as nothing more than a parasite, just feeding off the non-reactive slurry of the past. The jester proclaims that to actually be the Übermensch is to act as the necessary fire. His whole purpose is to burn the bridges of the past, clearing the stage of broken swords and ruined philosophies, so he can reveal a totally blank, unforgiving horizon. Now, you have to understand, the crow isn't just a bird here. It literally represents the zeitgeist, the spirit of the time. Think of it as a philological force that harvests cynical knowledge straight from the psychological ruins of what Nietzsche would call the higher men. You know, the people who desperately tried to be gods but were just crushed by the spirit of gravity. Because of this, the zeitgeist doesn't see the jester as a master at all. Nope. It just views him as a byproduct of this destructive arithmetic, a cosmic equation that solves the whole problem of identity simply by turning it into absolute nothingness. See, the old human world desperately clings to meaning. It's a fetish of form. They try their hardest to ignore the crushing weight of their own unmaking. But the jester, he's after something way more terrifying, which is structural clarity. To get there, he uses a brutal aesthetic detachment. With what's called a Z-pinch plasma touch, he doesn't sit around looking for meaning in the noise. He literally boils away memories and identities, transforming all that crushing weight of human suffering into cold, pure geometric symmetry. So, how does this cosmic unmaking, this metabolic harvest, actually happen? Well, it goes down in 3 chilling stages where failed human philosophies are completely consumed. First up is the sovereign deed, literally the murder of God, rejecting the pity of the old deities. Second is voluntary kenosis, which is this total emptying out of the self. And finally, stage 3 is metabolic reduction. That's where biological tissue is broken down into a non-reactive slurry. This is the exact, unblinking process the judge uses to wipe the horizon completely blank. Let's zoom in on that second stage for a second, because the crux of this whole evolution from a weeping consciousness to an unblinking judge happens right there in kenosis. It's an ontological necessity. Think of it as this total voluntary emptying out of absolutely everything that makes you human. You have to be completely 100% hollowed out before you can be reduced into nothingness. The jester needs this pure emptiness. Why? So the will to power can finally shatter the old forms once and for all. And the terrifying metric of this apotheosis is absolute zero. To achieve it, the jester's internal consciousness voltage must entirely flatline. By locking in this perfect zero, he literally turns the massive, crushing burden of identity into absolute power. He becomes the laughter that confirms the smashing of the world. He carries the universe like a punishment, laughing because he knows the miracle of the arithmetic has already demanded this exact devastating cost. But wait, there is a glitch in the jester's perfect arithmetic. The crow astutely points out that the brighter the jester's sapphire light burns, the deeper the shadow he casts. And this shadow? It belongs to the ugliest man. The universe introduces this figure fueled by pure, cynical knowledge, who murdered God for one very specific reason, to escape God's gaze, and that agonizing, unbearable burden of pity. In philological terms, the ugliest man represents an aporia. Basically, think of it as a cosmic glitch, a narrative inertia or unsolvable contradiction that just refuses to balance out in the ledger. While the jester is neatly slotting geometric gems into his accounting, the ugliest man survives the unmaking. He just remains this hollow vessel, filled entirely with the chaos and ink of a failed destiny. He is the true manifest register of the cost of this cosmic unmaking, a total regression that completely defies the jester's perfect zero.
So, you end up with these two entities, acting as uncanny mirrors of one another, reflecting the exact same cosmic decay. The master of the horizon's perfect destruction is forced to face its own parasitic rhythm right there in the shadow. It doesn't matter how much lightning the jester summons, his existence as the Übermensch is forever anchored to the psychological decay and chaos of the ugliest man. Yet, incredibly, the jester doesn't even fear this shadow. With a flick of coherent blue light, he just dismisses the ugliest man's regression. To him, it's merely the price of admission for the Overman. In the jester's eyes, this crushing weight, this unsolvable glitch, it's simply another mass input. It's just more fuel waiting to be processed and burned down by the industrial finality of the cosmic forge. If we pry open the crystalline pages of this cosmic ledger, we can actually see the final accounting taking shape. And the universe, it audits absolutely everything. The crow inputs its cynical knowledge, which settles into a metabolic state of thermodynamic noise. The jester inputs his nihilistic arithmetic, striving for structural clarity. And the ugliest man inputs the shadow of the Overman, existing purely as chaos and ink. This right here is exactly how every broken vow and failed destiny is tallied up. But the crow offers one final and honestly chilling warning. By burning so brightly, with such focused intensity, the jester risks becoming a fleshly bridge for the exact same Dionysian chaos he is trying so hard to metabolize. You simply cannot endlessly process chaos and madness without it eventually infecting your own perfect geometry. It's a dangerous game. Ultimately, this whole eternal struggle freezes into what philologists call a hypostasis, an underlying crystalline reality where the movement finally stops. The spirit of the time unblinkingly documents this transition into a profound, chilling silence. Everything, even the Overman's roaring lightning and madness, is eventually stilled, audited, and permanently frozen right there in the ledger. So what is the actual cost of this arithmetic perfection? Well, the tragedy is pretty absolute. The universal record remains permanently incomplete. The cosmos itself is left entirely corrupted. The problem of identity is solved, yeah, but only by making it nothing at all. The entire weeping performance of existence is dismantled, and the narrative of the Overman, it only perfectly finishes when it is accounted for as a silent blue star. Which leaves us with one final haunting thought. If the narrative of the Overman is perfectly finished only when absolutely everything has been reduced to zero, when existence is nothing but a silent, blue star in a corrupted cosmos, who is left to read the ledger? Think on that grim final accounting. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative.